Bore da pawb. Hello everybody, welcome to my wild Welsh garden. For those of you who are new here, this is the channel where I'm wilding my garden. So I'm trying to garden in a way which is more in keeping with a natural ecosystem and therefore better for wildlife. And I'm sharing it with anybody who's doing the same and is just interested, and also people who are maybe considering doing something similar themselves. Well, after the lovely sort of winter wonderland effect of the frost last week, I'm afraid the garden is feeling very sorry for itself. It's just really wet and soggy. And so I just wanted to share with you a few things. The first thing is what happened in the garden this morning, which was really quite special. The second is to share with you a new project that I'm embarking upon. Well, I did say I wasn't going to do any big projects, didn't I, this winter? Well, that didn't last either, did it? So yeah, I'm going to tell you about that. And then finally, just for those of you who are interested, to update you on the saga of the surcharging manhole on the river. So just to get started, I'll show you what happened this morning. This is what I call the corvid tree. First thing in the morning in the winter, all the corvids congregate up there. It's a mixture of rooks and jackdaws. And then in a short while they'll all take off and fly up into the beacons, spend the day up there feeding on the mountains. There they go. How cool is that? Some of them are going to come back to the tree. Most of them have gone. What a magical moment to catch on camera. Yes, I'd just come out to feed the robin because I could hear him ticking at me even in the kitchen, and give the blackbirds their sultanas, and I saw all the corvids in the tree, and it was like, oh quick, get my phone, get my microphone, and luckily just caught them before they went. And now I've fed the birds. I've put sultanas down on the lawn. No blackbirds yet. There's the robin on, there he goes. There's a blackbird in the tree. Oh, there's one. Another one on the rose arch. It's because I'm standing here, so I'm not coming down there with you there. There's one on the lawn, one on the summer house. Two on the lawn. Three on the lawn. Well, I'm going to leave the birds in peace to come down and get their food off the ground. I put some food on the bird table. And the trail cam opposite, so we'll see what birds we catch on camera this morning. I've brought you to show you something in the polytunnel. I've had another parcel delivery, and what came is down there. It's another delivery from the Woodland Trust. Some teeny tiny trees. They came quite late yesterday afternoon and it was dark, and they'd been in transit for a few days, so I just brought them out here quickly and healed them in. So there's a hazel and a crab apple and a blackthorn and goat willow and rowan and another hazel. Yes, because I have a plan for what used to be what I rather grandly call the orchard. This bed in the middle of the garden I call the orchard because it has 3 fruit trees and a number of fruit bushes and some herbs like rosemary and various things, and an awful lot of strawberries and some wild strawberries. And I did have an idea that it would be a sort of food forest, but it hasn't really worked. The bushes don't like it. They don't produce many fruit and the birds get them all. And I was thinking I would reorder it this winter, and I didn't know what to do. Well, I decided I'm going to plant a tiny forest. The idea of a tiny forest was developed by a Japanese botanist called Miyawaki, I think that's how you pronounce it. I have no idea really, in the 1970s. And this involves planting native trees very close together in a relatively small space. And because they're competing for light, they grow very quickly. And it increases biodiversity, so it supports wildlife. And it captures carbon, so it mitigates climate change. So it's an all-round good thing to do. But the other thing about them is that they were sort of, the idea of them was to be in urban areas, so like in parks maybe, or maybe a bit of waste ground that wasn't being used for anything, and to get the community involved. So to educate and to enable and inspire, all that sort of thing. And they're usually the size of a tennis court. But they can be as small as 5 square metres, so small enough to fit into a sort of normal sized back garden. This bed is about 3 metres by 4.5 metres, so if my maths is correct, that's 13.5 square metres, so quite a bit bigger really than the teeniest of the tiny forest gardens that you can have at 5 square metres. So I thought I could plant a tiny forest sort of in the middle of this bed, because I wouldn't want to plant it all up with forest. So this is the plan anyway. I'm going to clear it because there's already the 3 fruit trees there, but I can clear the middle bit. And in the very middle, I thought I would do my standing deadwood structure using the hazel poles that are down by the side of the house there. And then I thought I could mark out a oblong in the middle of the bed, 2 metres by 3 metres, and that would give me 6 square metres. The trees in a tiny forest are planted at a density of 3 to 5 trees per square metre, so they really are quite close together. Well, at a density of 3 trees per square metre, I would need 18, and 5 trees per square metre, I would need 30. So I've just bought 15 little trees from the Woodland Trust, and I've got 4 little oaks already. So that makes 19. So I think that will make a very nice, teeny tiny forest right in the centre of my garden. The little trees are all healed in and quite happily snug in the polytunnel, and they're all dormant, so there's no rush, and it is probably going to take me a while, but I will keep you updated. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take away all the dead plants and put them on the bug snug. dig up the fruit bushes, clear the ground a bit, mark out the area that I'm going to plant up, build my standing deadwood structure. So yeah, I think it might take quite a while. The sun is setting over there, and I think I've done enough for today, although I've not done an enormous amount, to be honest. And there's our little robin friend. Just come down to see what's here for his tea. The thing is that there are things in there that I would quite like to keep, but I'm not really sure what's there, so I have to go a bit slowly. But I've found strawberries and perennial leeks and lemon balm and some primroses and a granny's bonnet that I've decided to keep, although I have dug a lot up. So yeah, just take it slowly. And I've also dug one of the currants up. I can't remember which one it was, whether it was the black one or the red one or the white one, but yeah, that's gone too. So that's it for working in the garden this week. I won't be able to do any more on the tiny forest today, and I'm not quite sure when I'll be able to get out again, because we have some quite a lot of weather forecast over the next few days. So I will bring you up to date on the river. For those of you who aren't familiar with the story, it's quite long and complicated, and I documented it in a video that I did about the river, and I'll put a link to that in the description. But long story short, there is a drain along the river with a manhole cover which leaks whenever it rains, really. And I think where I'd got to previously was oh yes, that some guys are going to come out, some operatives are going to come out and do some work. But I'd also had a phone call to say that some people had come out from Dord Cymru with a pollution technician. And he had said that there was evidence of a spill, but there was no evidence of it entering the water, which of course isn't true. There's a lot entering the water. And it kind of shows you what happens, that none of this will be recorded as a river pollution incident. It will just be pollution on a path. And so when these water companies release information, you know, about how many sewage spills, the reality is that it's probably a lot more than they actually admit to. And then I did go down during Storm Bert, or just before Storm Bert, and took a video of it actually surcharging furiously. And then I went down after the storm and took some photos of the sewage debris that was there, and filled out all the incident forms, and didn't hear anything. And then it got to the middle of the week, and I thought, well, I'll just go down and just see whether anybody's done anything. And I went down, and this is what I found. So yes, there was a huge drain truck with flashing lights and goodness knows what, and several miles of what looked like pipes and cables and rods and all sorts of things, and three very nice young men who I had a chat with. And they said that the problem was that the drain was silted up and just couldn't take the amount of flow that it was trying to deal with, really. And then they'd come to clean it out, but they were very sceptical that this would actually fix it, because they said the drain was very shallow and there just wasn't enough room, really. So yes, I really didn't know what was going to happen next, really, but I was hoping that after the next bout of heavy rain, which was yesterday, I would go down and it would all be, nice and clean and pristine, but that didn't happen, I'm afraid. I went down this morning and the drain cover was up, so it had obviously been surcharging again, and plenty of evidence of raw sewage on the path and going into the river. So yeah, I took photographs, came home, filled in all the incident forms, and then I had a phone call from Dŵr Cymru to say that actually they'd only partially cleansed the drain, that they hadn't been able to complete it for some reason. So work is still ongoing. So I was very pleased to hear that. But they were going to send a crew out to clean up and everything. And yes, I did point out that apparently the pollution technician had said that there was no evidence of it and of the pollution entering the river. And I said, there is actually plenty of evidence. And apparently they've asked him to contact me and we can have a conversation about this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that happening. That's supposed to be within the next week. So the saga continues. But I suppose the good news is that Dŵr Cymru is doing something about it, and they're obviously concerned about it. They want to fix the problem. So that's very heartening. So it just remains for me to thank you all again for visiting me in my wild Welsh garden, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye! Hwyl am y tro!